This week on the pod, I'm going to talk to you about my time on the doctor's circuit because I've been seeing a lot of them, my first setback since my surgery, and a couple of cat surprises that I've had this week. All on episode 89 of Jokes and the Gym with Rudy Tyburczy. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get into it.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
What is up, my friends, and welcome back to my first episode post-surgery in the chair. Oh, Z, we're coming back. Z is ready to go. Z's jumping on my lap. More surprises, and that's fitting because he was one of my big surprises this week. I'm going to talk about a few things today. First thing I'm going to talk about is the circuit I've been on with all these different doctors I've been seeing these last couple of weeks. Oh, geez. Gosh, there you go, Z. You're just making a mess, aren't you? Already. That's a big boy. There we go, friend. Thanks, guy. You want some coffee? Okay. Yeah, getting off wild and woolly. Starting strong, buddy. He's eating my leftover pumpkin bread. Right on. Love it. Love to hear it. You never really know what's going to go on when you're recording. When you got a cat nearby, I had the co-host chair ready for him. He was in it. He was happy. He was having a fun time. And then I started recording. I pushed record, and he's like, I want to be on camera. I want to be on the lap. I got to find somewhere else to be. He was not, I had a whole host of cat surprises in the last 12 hours. Last night, I guess I'll start with the cat surprises. Because last night I was over here where I am now, and there's a window right in front of me where the catio is. So my girl who lives where I am right now, Frostner, she lives here in the cottage with me. And then there's a big house up front where my mom lives. And that's where the other cats tend to spend most of their time. The boy cats stay with her. The girl cat stays with me for the most part. Although, they move in and out. They cause a little trouble here and there. And it's all good, though. And so, let's see. Last night, I was in my living space behind me, and my girl Frostner jumps in through the catio as she is wont to do, as happens pretty regularly, all the time, daily. And she had a gift in her mouth. She came in with a big ass rat, a big old rodent gripping in her teeth. And I mean, that must be the world's algorithm playing a trick on me, because I had just seen a photo, like an AI generated video of a cat bringing a rodent to its owner while they were sleeping, setting it by its face and then walking and then purring up and cuddling up next to them. And while I'm super grateful that didn't quite happen, my girl did bring in a rodent, and I was trying to get it out of here last night. It's like climbing up against the wall. It's trying to move all over the place. I'm trying to shoo it out, trying to get it in a little plastic container to get it out of here. And I honestly don't know what happened to it. It just went somewhere else. So that was not a fun way to end my day. Definitely put me on edge before going to bed, which is not what you want to do. I'm really trying to calm my senses. I'm really trying to learn more about somatic healing and just ways to calm the nervous system down, the central nervous system, and that kind of stuff. I'm really starting to approach and look at exercise in a different way, because I won't be able to exercise the same way I would before. Like my head, you can see my friggin' head right there. Look at that scar. Golly. I look like I got just sliced and diced up there. Someone was trying to de-zombify me or something. And if you can't, just for the audio, it's like there is a huge half circle, a horseshoe, bigger than a typical horseshoe size scar on the top of my head where Tommy used to be, and where Dr. Valerie Kuhn got it right out of me. she did a great job. The surgery went well in August, and I'm really pleased with how I'm progressing forward overall from that time. And so, but I can't have the same kind of intracranial pressure, so I won't be able to lift heavy, and I won't want to lift as heavy moving forward. I want to re-examine how I look at exercise for myself. I still love strength training. I still believe in resistance training. I think everybody can benefit from aspects of it, and I am going to be doing I'm going to also be prioritizing other types of exercise, because that was a pretty eye-opening this has been an eye-opening experience. It's an eye-opening time for me, and it's good for us always to kind of like be shedding different parts of ourselves and moving forward and not gripping anything too tightly, because literally I found out in the matter of weeks, months, that my favorite things are not as healthy for me as I once thought they were. Like comedy and weightlifting have been taken from me in some form or fashion. And so that really gets you thinking, and it's not like I'm done with these things, but I do have to re-examine my relationship to them. And so I'm really thankful that throughout this podcast, I have been able to discuss and explore how to hold things more lightly, because that is going to keep me moving forward without getting so sad or down on myself or distraught over losing things that were so near and dear to me. And while they still hold a special part of my life and have done so much for me and are probably a big part of why I'm able to get through this as healthfully as I am. I just have to interact with them differently moving forward. And so to recognize that things can be gone in a flash, one day, your whole life can change. To recognize that and reckon with it, I think is good for me and something that we all need to kind of face. And so I'm glad that I can share my experience going through that kind of stuff as it's happening. So I mean, just looking at different ways to exercise and move the body and interact with my body and look at bodybuilding or self-image or self-worth, all these things that are so tied so deeply to what I have been and what I've done. Because when you tie things to your identity, as I have with health and with comedy, that's the podcast, Jokes and the Gym, then it means a lot. It really means something, and it helps me move forward one way or another. And it can also lead to high levels of distress. And so if I wasn't able to look at things from a more bird's eye view, I think I would be in a lot worse shape, because now I'm looking at stuff in the big picture. I'm looking at stuff as a matter of life and death, quite literally. I almost died at the gym. Like, I had a giant seizure. Maybe I wasn't that close to death, but people die from seizures. And, when I get up, the last time I got up and did comedy before my surgery was at Sam Bonds, and the first time was also at Sam Bonds after my surgery. But both times before I'm getting up there, I feel my heart beating in my chest. And I'll talk more about my heart stuff because I have AFib. I have an irregular heartbeat. I have a weak heart. Doctors keep telling me I have a weak heart. And I'll get to some of those doctor's visits today and what they've said and the positive things and the things I have to work on moving forward and some of the things I'm going to have to change. But just having to readjust how we look at our favorite things is not easy. And so I want to continue to live a long and fruitful life after this. And I've been saying, like, you know what? I'd love it if this is halftime. If I'm 42 and I get to 84, that would be beautiful. I just want to keep ticking as long as I can. That may or may not be in the cards for me. 84 is a nice chunk of life, a nice chunk of change to live. And we'll see how long I last. So if I get to 42 years from 2025 is 2067, I'd be pumped. I'd be pleased as punch. I'd be jumping like a jaybird. So we'll see how things move forward. But I've been on the circuit. Let's talk about the doctor's circuit. I've been on the circuit since we last spoke. So I've seen a neurologist, a cardiologist, an oncologist, and an electrophysiologist. That's a big quattro. That's the four horsemen of your life, man. That is, what is that? Brain, heart, cancer, heart electricity. So two heart doctors, a brain doctor, a cancer doctor, and for the most part, things are good overall. My neurologist, I met with my PA as opposed to my surgeon. He took out the 21 staples 2.5 weeks after the surgery, and like the scars healing up nicely. Doesn't look wild or wacky or anything. I mean, of course it does, but it looks like it's healing nicely, is what I mean. And it's funny because I know 3 other people around my same age or generation from my area who've had brain tumors. And one of them even had surgery from my same brain surgeon, Dr. Kuhn. And it makes me wonder about the area that we live in, because one of them, he lived around the street. He was my best friend growing up. Derek, shout out to Linker. And it's been really interesting because it's actually been a thing that has helped us reconnect after years. I moved away and I was gone for a long time. And so I didn't get it. We didn't stay connected as much when I was gone. And then when this happened, he's reached back out and we've been able to share through these experiences. And that's been a really good thing because he was like my best friend growing up. He was like the funniest guy I knew as a kid. We were just wild and wacky weirdos as little boys, talking about basketball cards, rookie cards, making up silly songs, watching wrestling together, overnight parties and stuff like that. Just had so much fun. And so it's pretty weird that we both have had brain tumors. And his was at the base of his skull. Mine's was in the right frontal lobe. Then I knew another guy who had one around his ear. He's from around here. Shout out to Mister. And he's also a fun, cool dude who has he's like the local professional wrestling guy. He's like Eugene's cool version of Vince McMahon, without all the problematic stuff. And it's also been a thing that's helped us connect a little bit as well. So, but we've also been friends for a few years and been fun to see his stuff grow. Go check out POW Pro Wrestling at World Pies. They do it every month and it's awesome. I haven't been for a while, but I used to go like every month, and I'd love to chat with him more about his experience and stuff. So we even talked about him being on the podcast at some point. So hopefully that'll happen, because moving forward, I would also like to interview more people who have had experience with tumors. Because I've met plenty of people online throughout this process. You join message groups and you talk with people, and other people share their stories and this kind of stuff. A lady who was working in the neurology department, when I was there to get my staples out, she was working at the desk and she says, like, I'm coming up on 10 years since I had my resection. And so it's good to see people living full lives and doing their thing before, during, and after. And while there are going to be changes, there is going to be stuff that's different. You're still who you are. You're still your sense of self. And I'm so grateful that I haven't lost that. I still feel like Rudy, I still feel like this wiggly weirdo who wants to move and groove and hang out with my cats and tell stupid jokes and watch movies and see my friends and all that jazz. Some things are going to have to change, but I don't have to be like a different person. I just have to approach things differently. And I'm thankful that I have been thinking about that before any of this even popped up, because I've known something was up. And when those feelings were confirmed, I was more able to approach them with courage and a sense of self that will help me maintain that throughout. And and been blessed with a great team of doctors, medical teams, and staffs. I've had an awesome experience. I know not everyone is that lucky, but I've had an awesome experience with all the doctors so far over at Riverbend and throughout my care provider circle. So thank goodness for that. So pleased with the experiences I've received. So met with the PA, whose name was Tom, not to be confused with Tommy. And he took out the staples, said things were looking good, and he's helped me a bunch. He's been awesome throughout this whole process. I'm going to have to reach out to Neuro again today. But I'm going to see my surgeon again at the end of this month, just to see, kind of check in, see where things are and what I can do, what timelines are looking like moving forward, because I still have some time before I can like get back to working out and get back to work and this kind of stuff. Even though I feel decent, I do not want to push it. This is like you only get one shot at recovery, and it's a marathon. It's not a race. And so I am a little worried that because I am progressing nicely, either I will feel pressure from myself or from others to move fast, to move forward too quickly, because that is often what I do. My brain has been a fast mover at times, in some ways, but there's also a lot of ways where it's just been slow and chunky, and I feel like that's okay. So we'll see how things move forward, but they've been progressing nicely so far, and I'm excited to continue to see where my path leads me, because it's going to be different. And then that was on a Tuesday, and then on a Friday I had appointments with cardiology and oncology. And cardiology, this is kind of the biggest bugaboo for me so far, is my heart. I remember making jokes about like, oh, remember when my heart was the biggest thing I had to worry about, and wasn't that nice? And it still is the biggest thing I have to worry about, and it's not super nice, but it is manageable. And I'm able to, again, talk with people about it. I know there's a lot of people with AFib, and I'm in, there's 3 different kinds. There's paroxysmal AFib, persistent AFib, and permanent. 3 P's of AFib: paroxysmal, persistent, permanent. And I'm in permanent. It sucks. And it just was found at a routine checkup. And so we don't know. You can't know exactly what's going to cause it, what has happened. When I saw my cardiologist, who I'd only seen once before, she didn't perform my cardio version. Someone else did. But it didn't work. And both the cardiologist and the anesthesiologist hadn't seen it. That happened before. I got shocked 5 times and it didn't shock it back into rhythm. So that's pretty disappointing, but it gives us more information moving forward. Okay, cardio version is not going to work. What's next? So, but meeting with the cardiologist, seeing Dr. Linsmeyer again, and this was the second time I've met with her, and my mom was able to go with me this time, the second time, and so she can sometimes ask additional questions, which is helpful, because I'm not going to remember everything. Sometimes you might feel a little shy to ask some questions or whatever, and so it was nice to have someone else to advocate for you. And if you can have people come with you to your appointments, I suggest you do that. I recommend that, because it's hard to advocate for ourselves. And that's one of the things I'm really finding in this whole process, is you have to advocate so strongly for yourself, because there's so many things that go into it. And what I've found also is that doctors don't talk to each other. I'm going to have to call my neurologist today, because my electrophysiologist needs to know something from them about whether I can take blood thinners before going on to the next step again, which would be ablation. And so having someone there at your side, whether that's a partner or a family member or a trusted friend, I would totally suggest, if you have that ability, if you have that option open to you, because it can be super important, super valuable. And because I've done that for family as well, and I'm happy to be able to. So I also look at helping others as like a gift. Like if I ask someone to help me, that's me giving them a gift. People want to help. People want to feel like they are of service. People want to help feel like they're helping you, especially if they're people close to you in your life. So do whatever you can to get the answers necessary to help you move forward on your path. So um, after meeting with cardiology, she's like, okay, you're still in AFib. It's because you were a drunk when you were in Korea. Because I was. When I lived in Korea, when I started comedy, when I lived abroad, I had late hours. I had an abundance of money. I was with a bunch of friends. I had started comedy for the first time, and I just drank like a fish. And Korea is a boozy, boozy culture. And so I had a blast. And I remember, I have said this before, that if I could change anything, I would probably have drank less. And now I'm finding that I probably drank as much as I did because there's a big fucking tumor in my head. And it dulled everything. It made everything more or less intense. It took so many resources and didn't allow me to feel like I did. And I mean, I've had friends who were Irish friends who stopped drinking later in life because they knew it was an issue, tell me that I had, like, when we were drinking together, like, you have quite a tolerance. And that's something you wear as a comedian, as all sorts of stuff, as a badge of honor in so many ways. It's like, yeah, I can drink a lot. I'm fucking cool. But I'm realizing more and more that maybe that wasn't as cool as I thought it was. It was fun. I had a blast, but it's probably not worth it. And it may not have been the thing that has caused this. We really can't know. But I it contributed, and I definitely spent too many years drinking. But I'll be honest, the last 3 years I just haven't had nearly as much desire to drink, and I'm very grateful for that. Last 2 years, this year I was going into this year just really not planning to drink much. I think I've had one, maybe two beers all year. That was like in February or March. And then since then I haven't had any, especially since learning about this, I haven't had any. And so I learned more from the electrophysiologist as well. These two doctors kind of work, they're on the same floor at Riverbend. And so I was fortunate to be able to see the electrophysiologist not too much later. And he was super helpful as well. He gave me he like wrote out a bunch of stuff that has been really helpful for me as far as knowing what my options are, what he recommended, what the likelihood of like my heart getting into a normal rhythm are again after this. And so, because I'm young, I'm 42. So many people in AFib are much older than me. It's funny. I saw one of our good family friends the two times in the last 3 weeks that I went to the cardiology department, saw the same old family friend. I say old because I was a ring bearer at his wedding, shout out to Bob and Bonnie. I was a ring bearer when I was like 7 years old when they got married. And I've seen him twice there. And he's like the age of my, your grandparents, your parents or whatever. And my other friends, it's like, yeah, my mom has had a cardioversion or an ablation and all this kind of stuff. And so to be in the same boat as all of them when I've lived this life that is, I have, other than the boozing too much and all that kind of stuff, lived a fairly healthy life. I try to eat responsibly. I work out, I exercise, I move my body. I try to be mindful. And I got hit with the tumor and this heart stuff. And so I'm not going to say I had nothing to do with it and say, whoa, oh, poor me, poor me. But it just goes to show you never really know what cards you're going to get dealt. So I got these pocket fours, got to play them as best they can. So, you could still river somebody. You could still get a full house and have a pretty great hand. And I've had a pretty great hand so far in my life. I've done a lot of stuff. I've been to 30 countries. Oh, another cat's coming in. Everybody's here. Hi, girl. I've been to 30 countries and fallen in love and done comedy all over the world and met a ton of awesome people. And, I've lived a whole life and I want to live more. But if I don't, then I've lived a big one, a good one. And I'm pumped about it. I'm jazzed. And so this thing will keep on ticking for a while, and I'll just have to figure it out and do some maintenance, get regular checkups, check under the hood all the time. I'm going to get regular, all sorts of stuff, doctor's appointments moving forward. And that wasn't necessarily something before I moved back to the States that I did, but there was some of it. And I'm thankful that I have that opportunity right now. So, but yeah, saw the electrophysiologist just yesterday. Was it yesterday? Gosh, so much has happened, it seems like. And yeah, he was straightforward. Dr. Kawada loved it. I was happy to be there, and he spoke quickly. So I'm really glad that he wrote so much stuff down. That's very clear. My I have cardiomyopathy, which is like a weak heart, essentially. Just my heart is. Let's see what the description of cardiomyopathy is. An acquired or hereditary disease of the heart muscle. So an acquired or hereditary disease of the heart muscle. This condition makes it hard for the heart to deliver blood to the body and can lead to heart failure. Symptoms include breathlessness, swollen legs and feet, and a bloated belly. Drugs, implanted devices, surgery, and severe cases of transplant are treatments. So there's a bunch of things. I've got that. Got a weak heart doctors telling me I've got a weak heart. Symptoms include breathlessness, like now. It's hard for me to breathe out of my nose. That's always been an issue. Swollen legs and feet. I have varicose veins. I don't experience pain. I do experience fatigue and some dizziness when I stand up. I have an abnormal heart rhythm, and that kind of stuff. So inability to get blood to the rest of the body. I remember one of my friends of the show, Luke Miller, once asked why I'm not like bigger because I've been lifting for so long, and I didn't know why. I don't really have an answer, but now I know it's because of my weak heart. The blood can't get to where it needs to go, and that's how you recover. That's how you get bigger muscles, bro. And he wasn't being a dick about it. He's like, why do you look like that? No, he's just like, you've been lifting for 25 years. Why aren't you like some jacked meathead? And I kind of wondered that too. I didn't know why, but now it seems pretty clear it's because I've had this heart issue for a long time. But doctors are so hesitant to tell you why or why not things are. I think doctors don't want to say stuff. And I'll do a big episode on my misdiagnosis of the tumor at some point, not now. And it can be frustrating to get answers sometimes. So again, that's why you have to advocate so strongly for yourself. So if you feel something off, get it checked out if you can. Go see the doctor. Don't wait until it's critical. Don't wait until it's like, oh, you're wildly unhealthy or something bad happens. Just do it. Go see a doctor if you can, if you need to. So that's what I'll say about that. But the electrophysiologist, what did he ultimately recommend is ablation. And ablation is like they take like a catheter and stick it in your heart valve and try to either cauterize or open up the parts of the heart that need to be helped. And so he said my upper valves aren't functioning, or my upper chambers aren't firing like they should. And so I want to do something about that. And I'm in permanent AFib, not paroxysmal, not persistent. I'm in the third and most consistent version of AFib. And he says it's unshockable. So the persistent AFib is shockable, but mine was not. So ablation, even though there's like less than a 50% chance that it will succeed from this permanent version, it's still worth doing because I am the age that I'm at. And he said, if you were like 20 years older, 30 years older, then I would say maybe it's time to give up. And he said that term give up once or twice. And it made me kind of laugh. And it was, again, just straight to the point, Doc. I appreciate that. And so I would have to get back on blood thinners for 30 days. And so I have to contact Neurology to see if that's okay with my head stuff. But I want to try to get this done sooner rather than later, maybe even during this time off, because I don't want to have to take more time off moving forward. But that's possibility. This is something I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. So there will be times when I got to take some time off and go from there. But yeah, we'll see how it moves forward. So that's my next step with all of this is go contact neurology and then contact electrophysiology and then potentially get an ablation scheduled, because that's probably the next step, and then we'll go from there. And then there's always a possibility later in life of like devices, a pacemaker or a watchman, something like that with AFib. And some people don't like the idea of those things, but man, hey, if they got my heart beating in a normal rhythm and I didn't have to worry about it like I do, I'm not opposed to that. Pop a couple Duracells in me and let's get the Energizer Bunny running up in this bitch, up in this bish. I would love for my heart to be functioning, and if that means I got to take a bit of Iron Man to do it, then so be it. People have joked a couple times about, what if you get like superpowers when they take out part of your brain? And I'm like, I would love that. I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't know if I've noticed any superpowers other than being able to just watch movies all day so far. And even that's kind of tough. We're always on our phones and always doing that kind of stuff. So I just have an abundance of time to do all that right now. And it's kind of fun. So yeah, but then, so I've talked about neurology, I've talked about cardiology and electrophysiology. Really appreciate those doctors. And then I also went to the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute to talk about potential further treatment for like the brain tumor cancer area. Because while it was low grade, grade 2, that is still considered cancerous. But the procedure went well. And the MRI I got the day after, there's a big crevasse in there now where there used to be brain, or Tommy used to live. Now it's just like an space in the attic that's going to fill up with goo. I can finally like lay flat on my back for the last week or so after like a couple weeks of having to be upright a little more while I slept. And it's been feeling all right. I get head rushes when I stand up too quick. I'm slow at times to respond to stuff. I don't feel like I'm quite as quick as I maybe once was, but I do feel like there is some relief in my brain. And I do feel like there is some space up there. I'm not quite as anxious. That could be due to a variety of things. I don't have to worry about leaving the home as much right now and stuff like that. So that probably has something to do with it. I'm having this time to recuperate and get support and feel supported, and not have to work. So those things are nice. But I do feel a little extra sense of space, and maybe that's a byproduct of the surgery and also a byproduct of how I'm looking at things right now. So I'm appreciative of what it has allowed me so far. And surgical options may not be everyone's first choice. They're not mine, but sometimes that's where you're at. Sometimes that's what you need. You got a big tumor, you want to get it out. And I'm thankful that mine was operable. For a lot of people, they're not, and they just have to deal with it and figure out options, or take pills and chemo. And I was really lucky that when I met with the oncologist, I really liked him, because I was like nervous leading up to it. I was, you're going to the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. It's like cancer. It's like, I thought they got that thing out, but doctors were, my neurologist wasn't like, okay, this is what we're going to do moving forward. It was like, no, it's kind of up to the oncologist and the patient to decide what path to take forward. And I was thankful that, he's a cool dude. even though he had a USC sweatshirt on. It was before the opening weekend of college football. And so we were able to chat. We chat about football. I got my Eagles shirt on, my knockoff Philly championship shirt that looks like I got this shirt online because my last Dungeons and Dragons character was Aarakocra, and I named him Karaka the Aarakocra, which is like a bird humanoid, and it kind of looked like this dude on my shirt, that friggin' Eagles champion dog. And if you've seen the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, there is a big Aarakocra joke to kind of start, and then there was also a tabaxi scene with the cat humanoids in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was pretty cool because that was my last character, was Frostner the tabaxi, but now I have my girl Cat Frostner the Tyburczy, which is pretty cool. And I named Frostner. It came from my D&D character, but I named them that because everyone in it's a mishmash of my mom, my dad, and my sister's names, and mine. There's an R in there, because we're all such big cat people. And all of them, when I told them I was going to have a cat, they were like, let me know how I can help. I'll do whatever I can to help. So that is the Tyburcys, the cat people. And we're also bird people. You know, we like seeing the birds. We watch the birds. My mom and I were watching a show, and there was a bird app, and she's like, I want to get one of those. I was like, you can. She's like, always looking, oh, look, it's a red spangled bush tit out there. My sister sent me a funny list of bird names yesterday. What was one? A shag-faced, no, a gnarly-faced shag or something like this. There was a couple that really made me chuckle. I'm going to find them. A spangled drongo and a rough-faced shag. Those were two of my favorites. A little bustard. These bird names just are wild. And so find your favorite bird, listen to it, get an app. And, I see a woodpecker around. And it also makes me so sad when one of my cats will bring me dead birds as well. I have another Milk. He's a little bird murderer. And he brings me gifts as well. Not inside, thankfully, but it's kind of brutal to watch sometimes. And so, yeah, the Tabaxis, the Aarakocras of Dungeons and Dragons have brought me much joy over the years. And Frostner continues to do so. So, yeah, the oncologist. How did I get on all those from the oncologist? We were talking about, college football and how to move forward and this kind of stuff. And I liked him. His vibe was solid. He didn't seem like he wasn't pushing like drugs or chemo or harsh ways to move forward in that way. So it felt good that I felt like I was on the same page in that respect. And he ultimately said, looking at the MRI, looks like they got it out. I don't see any other traces of it left, which is awesome to hear from an oncologist, from a doctor, when everyone else has been kind of like, go see that guy, go talk to them, and this kind of thing. He was like, also, you could work with a neurological oncologist up at OHSU. I can make a recommendation. You could go see them, but they're probably going to say the same thing. And so let's just make sure in the first couple years to take a real proactive approach, maybe get MRIs every 3 months. And then after that, maybe yearly, see how it goes. So that's the plan moving forward. And hopefully Tommy hasn't left too much residue, and he won't, he'll get his deposit back because he made a clean exit. But so that's the plan from Oncology, is just to move forward, get MRIs regularly. So yeah, lots of stuff to continue forward with. I have to keep meeting with my neurologist to see my recovery timeframes when I can get back to doing stuff. My cardiologist to see about my heart, and electrophysiologist about ablation, and then oncology regularly to check up and talk about football and cancer. because the guy was from Pennsylvania as well, and so he has some connection to the Eagles, and so he's actually going to the Penn State Oregon game in this season, which has been fun. So that's been another nice thing that I just get to enjoy during this time. Football season has started. I grew up playing football as a part of my life. My mom and I really love watching Eagles games together. Go Birds! They beat the Cowboys in a wild first game. Such a blast to watch that. The Ducks are rolling. There's couple patsies so far, but the schedule's going to get tough here soon. Excited to keep checking out with the college and pro football. I'm more of a pro football guy, and I'm so lucky that the Eagles have won 2 championships in my life since I've moved back to the States. I have no room to complain ever again as a sports fan because I've seen 2 championships, and most people never even see their team get to the championship. And so it's been a lot of fun to be able to share that with my mom. And I have so many other friends that have either been on the show or that I meet. You always get to give a Go Birds, Fly Eagles Fly, friends from my growing up and time in Korea. And that's the best part of sports, is the connection that it gives you to other people, because it does make you nervous. I do feel my heart beating in games, there was a time or two in that Eagles game was making me nervous against the Cowboys. Freaking screw the Cowboys, friggin' worst. And I love that it allows you to just kind of hate a random group of adults for no good reason. Like, that's where we should get our hate out. It's just nice to have a reason to get out some frustration in like a fun nonsense way. And so Go Birds, Fly Eagles Fly. I'm excited to see what they do next week against the Chiefs. Against the Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch in week 2. First 2 weeks coming out with a bang of the NFL season. Dang, dog. And so we'll see how that goes. But so there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm moving forward. I'm excited about it. This is Jokes and the Gym. And I've got some fun joke stuff recently that has happened. I had my first show back. I was able to do my first set back at one of my favorite monthly shows, Sam Bond's Bleepin' Funny. Shout out to Leanne Jashaway and everybody over at Sam Bond's. I always feel good over there. It's where we did our first Just Comedy show with Adam Caton Holland, my friend. And I love that place. It's somewhere that I hope to do a lot more shows in the future. I'll do Bleepin' Funny whenever I can. Last Saturday of the month at 5 p.m. Free show. I'll be on the next one in October. I'm excited for that. Halloween themed. Check it out. 5 p.m. You can get home by 7 or 8. Get your sleepies, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you want to have drinks, you can. Another thing the electrophysiologist kept saying was like, this can also get worse with stimulants like alcohol, marijuana, cocaine. He said cocaine a bunch of times, and I've never done cocaine in my life. It's never been a thing. I've always literally I've been offered it in my life, and I just have always said no, because it never sounded appealing to me. And I never thought, and I always knew there was something up with my heart. I feel like, because I just felt like it would be too much for my heart. And so I always said no. And so I'm thankful that I was right in a sense. And I'm thankful I never tried it. So, those things can, when used in an abusive fashion, lead to heart issues. So, yeah, I probably boozed too much. Yeah, I probably smoked too much at some points in my life. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it now, because what's the point? The point is not that. The point is to heal. The point is to recuperate. The point is to get better and adjust as I can. And I can. So what if I can't drink booze when I go out or whatever? That's okay. That's fine. But yeah, the first show back at Sam Bonds was also the first day of the Ducks football season. So I had that whole day to kind of like ponder it and think about it. And like, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous going into it. I felt, by 5 p.m., even if I don't have a ton to do, I'm still feeling tired, kind of feeling fatigued. It was 17 days after my surgery. And so, I'm not fully recovered still. I wasn't then, and I'm not now. And so I was certainly kind of nervous, but Leanne, bless her heart, she reached out to me and asked, because it's a fundraiser show, she asked if I wanted help with, like, if I wanted to be the funds they raised for. And I said, sure, I love that. I'd love to feel that support and get a little help, because I'm not working. I haven't heard from paid leave Oregon yet, even though it'll, I'm sure, be fine. Uh, so I've gotten a lot of support from people, thankfully. And so I was feeling the love, feeling welcome, even though I was kind of nervous. One of the performers, Nat, came up and asked how I was doing beforehand. I said, tired and a little nervous, but feeling good. And that meant a lot that they came up and said hi. And there's so many really nice people at the show. The Sandbox it was as packed as I've ever seen it for Bleep and Funny. There was probably 60 people in there, and I was the last comedian to go up before the improvisers, because it's a stand up, part improv show typically. And I was the last one to stand up to go. And I had written a bunch of new material based on these experiences and was excited to tell it, but I was nervous leading up to it. But when I got on stage, it felt just like riding a bike. Felt pretty natural. Got up there, was told I got I had an awesome set. Like, I don't really, I don't say that about myself too often. It could be better. I could have tightened some things up, but it was really good. And I didn't know if I was going to do 8 minutes or whatever, but I did. And I got a lot of big laughs. There's some things I could tighten up, some adjustments, some things I could move around, some punchlines I could rearrange. But I felt really good about it, and I'm excited to continue with this material moving forward. I think that there's a lot of really great, juicy stuff to mine from it, and I'm excited to see how it grows and progresses moving forward. And so, in this 8 minutes, I got 2 standing ovations, which kind of made me feel like a Make-A-Wish kid. It was like, yeah, it was a good set, and I'm doing this thing that's kind of cool and kind of courageous. But it just felt really nice to feel that kind of love from my community. And I, I was working hard to make sure that I was still able to do comedy, and I'm glad that I can. I was really worried that when they took old Tommy out, he'd take a bunch of my humor bones with him, and thankfully they're still around. I'm going to continue to work on comedy and do comedy. Although I think, I was talking about this moving forward, is I'm going to have to readjust how I approach comedy, because like I said, my heart still gets palpitating when I'm getting ready for some shows, especially if it's like if it's like this weird, if the vibes are off. And so I need things kind of particular. And so I'm just going to take it easier. I've got a weak heart, the heart of an old man. And so I need to take that into account. I need to feel welcome. I need people to want me to be there. I can't do it. That's another thing I'm learning about our senses and our nervous system, and how we need to feel safe. And inherently, the comedy community, the comedy scene, is not a safe environment. We're up there, and when we are, as humans, we are wired for social connections, and it used to literally mean life and death, but our stupid lizard brains don't know that it doesn't mean life or death anymore. And yet so we still have some of those leftover life and death internal responses. And so that's the heart beating, the shivers, the cold sweats, all these kinds of things that can happen sometimes before or during a comedy set. And with my heart being the way it is, I just don't need to put it under all that undue stress all the time. And so, yeah, I want to do comedy, but I want to do it in places where I'm welcome, where I don't have to like wonder, is like, oh, does this person not like me, or that kind of thing? Because that's part of comedy as well. And it's bullshit. And it's one of those things that I'm realizing I just don't love about it. You can love a thing and not love everything that goes along with it. And that's something that I think is important for us to realize and acknowledge and accept about the loves and passions and things that we pursue in our life, is that it might not all be for you. Some of it is, but it might not all be. So I'm going to just continue to assess as I move forward, and not feel so much pressure to, because I have gone out so many times, like when I moved back and after the pandemic, and just like I was going out 4, 5, 6 nights a week doing comedy. And I love that when I can do that, but I also had a tumor the whole fucking time. And so no wonder that in my right frontal lobe, look up what your right frontal lobe helps you with. It's the CEO of your body. It's the manager of your body. It helps you um, be socially adept. It helps you relax. It helps your nervous system regulate. And because I've had so much pressure on those areas, it makes sense that it hasn't always felt safe for me, because I've had so much pressure and stress being placed on that physically from the inside of my body. And then it's harder for me to regulate my thoughts as well. And so really looking into kind of like more meditative actions and thought processes. I read The Untethered Soul. Maybe I'll do a book review on that. I might read it again. But essentially, it's talking about how we are not our thoughts. And once you're able to kind of accept that and recognize we're not our thoughts, we are more the presence that recognizes our thoughts. That can help kind of with some nervous system regulation. And I also put so much stress on my body from lifting weights and exercising, and then not being able to breathe through it all. Even now, my nose is very stuffy. Not being able to breathe through it all makes a huge difference as well. So just kind of looking at things from a more holistic perspective. And yes, I love comedy. Yes, I love working out. Yes, I love all these things, but I can take it easy. And my body will thank me for it. My mind will thank me for it. And so I just have to ask myself some serious questions about how I want to engage with my passions moving forward. So, on that note, some more good news. Another surprise in the comedy scene that happened for me just today was that I was nominated this year in Eugene's Weekly's Best of Eugene, Best Comedian in Eugene, along with Jen, Hazel, Seth, and Angie. So very excited about all those things. And if you want to vote, check out eugeneweekly.com. There's the best of. I'm under the going out, I think is what it is. Funny that it's going out. And I've been single for so long, and I'm not going out. I've been at home almost exclusively for 4 weeks. The most socializing I've done is in doctor's offices. And so, it meant a lot to even be. It's so fucking cliche. It means so much to just be nominated, but it does, because that people have to vote for the nominations as well. So to get on the ticket, to get on the ballot, is meaningful, because I haven't before, and I've done so much comedy in this town, and I've done put on so many shows for this town as far as comedy. I put on just comedy shows with Seth and so many other people for that year before the pandemic, and it was really fucking rocking. And then the pandemic hit, and it just took me out at the shins, man. So that's pretty tough. And so I'm thankful to get a little bit of appreciation again, because like it just feels good to feel like you're a part of the community and that people appreciate you as well. So go ahead, vote for your favorites there. It would be awesome if I got to win, but we'll see how it progresses. I think there's a little time before the deadline, maybe the end of the month before voting stops. So yeah, get out there and vote, rock the vote. You got to vote for at least 10 different categories. But yeah, think about your boy. Consider your boy Rudy Tyburczy if you think you want him to win Best Comic in Eugene. Be a fun little thing. I did win a comedy competition one of the times I did a comedy competition here in town. the 26th annual Laugh Off. Was it the 26th? Yeah, 219 Eugene Laugh Off, March 31st, 2019. Won that first when I came back. First year I did it, I won it. And that felt pretty good because that was from a group of unbiased judges. That wasn't like a popularity contest, which the Eugene Weekly is essentially. And so it felt good to have it based on a single performance that I prepared for. And there's a couple, like one of the Bear and the Fox, local morning radio folks and other local personalities were the judging panel. But that was over at Actors Cabaret downtown. I loved that. Oh man, that place is so I would love if that was a comedy club downtown. Shout out to Olsen Run. Olsen Run still is a good comedy club as well. Book me, guys. Don't forget to book me. And but Actors Cabaret is just a perfect little dark corner, nice, unique space. And so I was really thankful I got to perform there at least once and for that show. So that was also Leanne Jeshway. She's been a winner of Best Comic in Eugene as well. So I'm hopeful that I could, maybe win that this year, but we'll see. Check it out, eugeneweekly.com. Thanks, Eugene Weekly. Shout out, holler, and good luck to all the other folks in there. So, and a lot of them have won already. So you can take that into consideration or not. But very thankful for that. Not thankful for the rodent that my cat brought in. Thankful for the cats otherwise, though. And thankful for my doctors. The ability to get back up on stage. I got another show coming up next month, October 4th. Double entendre with Lexi's Comedy Club. That's going to be at Fathoms or Pegasus Pizza on campus. 8 p.m. Search for it or reach out to me if you want more information. I'll post about that as well. So that should be fun. And it's got like a musical theme. And I've got a song or two that I've written that I'm always happy to be able to use once in a while, but I don't do it a ton just because, I don't know, you don't always think of doing the song thing. But I'm excited to share that and do some more post-op humor because I feel like there's a really good show to be built from it. That's kind of the plan, is I'd like to build a show from this experience, like record a 30 to 45 minute recording, maybe an album, but maybe I kind of want to do it in the backyard again, kind of not unlike my birthday brain tumor bingo bash bonanza. And maybe do that like once or twice a year in the yard, kind of a deal, because like I said, I want to do comedy in places where I feel safe and comfortable and welcome. And if I can do it in my yard and at my house with the people I love around me and the community, that would be awesome. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out. Reach out. If you got questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, jokesandthegym@gmail.com. Find me on the socials, Rudy Tyburczy, RUDYTYBURCZY. And then Jokes and the Gym on a lot of the socials as well. So check it out. Thanks for stopping by. Just hitting an hour. And this is maybe a little later, coming out on Rudy Tuesday, #Rudy Tuesdays. This will be a little late because yesterday I had another doctor's appointment. I just didn't have the energy because I slept for shit. And yet today I did have the energy. I'm back in the chair, back in front of the computer, using my gear, my equipment, my setup, because I just hadn't been up for it the last couple of weeks. And I am today. I'm thankful for that. And hopefully I'll continue to get better with this podcast moving forward, increase the reach. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out. Because I know I'm going to start these interviews again soon. I'm thinking maybe, reach out. Maybe around 100, I'll start doing more interviews. I've already talked to some people about them recently. So there's some interest and some folks that I'd be really excited to have on the show. So if you're one of those, please reach out. If you have a tumor story, if you are a tumor survivor, if you are a tumor haver, or if it's touched your life in any way, I'd love to hear your story, and I'm sure we could connect and find a lot of commonalities and see where you're at. So I hope where you are at is a good place. I hope you're feeling good. I hope your body moves around a little bit today. I hope your mind thinks around a little bit today. Hug a friend, pet a cat, eat a nice meal, do something good for yourself. I'm going to go see a movie with my mom today. I'm excited about that. It'll be the first movie back since I've been out of the hospital. And I'm gonna do some movie reviews on this show as well. I think I'll probably start. I don't know when I'm going to start, but I'm going to start by doing some shorter ones and just release them as one-off little episodes. I got a pile of movie tickets nearby, and I think I'll just like grab one and do a 2-minute movie review kind of a deal or something like that. But we'll see how I want to do that moving forward. Excited for all that and what's to come. So I hope you are too. I hope you're excited for something to come today. And again, thanks for listening. Reach out if you want to. Let me know how you're doing. Ask a question. Maybe be a guest. And yeah, we'll talk soon. See you on the flip side.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
Gosh, there you go, Z. You're just making a mess, aren't you? Already. That's a big boy. There we go, friend.